Om Bhurvasuvaha Tatsavitu Varenim Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Deo Yona Prachodayate. Welcome to Hare Krishna, part 26. 26 weeks in half a year cycle of nature. We are approaching Aries. We're going from Pisces to Aries. Today is March 11th, 2019, year of electricity, 2019129, the number value of electricity of the three. We passed through Aquarius after Capricorn, Aquarius in January into February, and then Pisces, and Aquarius is in the shins, Pisces in the feet of the fish, Aquarius, Aqua Osiris, the father, Pisces, P-Isis, the mother, and then Aries, Horus, the child of March, of Mars, of El, of the three, of the father, mother, child, in the mid-El, the midline, the horizontal of Horus, the Horus Izon, Horus, Aries, Christ, Krishna, the risen Savior who arises and shines every day from 3 o'clock position, the house of the rising sun, rise, Aries, in the air, arising in the air with the rays of reason, of rationality, of logic, electricity, tri-city, mother, father, child, plug, outlet, electricity, the light of life, arising and shining in this ascendant half of the year, 26 weeks in the ascendant from the tomb of time, of the Tropic of Capricorn, of death of the winter solstice at 6, to the summer summit of 12 of the Most High, of El, the Lord, of the Lard, of the Chrism, of Krishna. 26, 26, 52. G-O-D equals 26 in English gematria. G is 7, 7 days. O is 15, D is 4, D the Daleth. Add them up. Daleth the door. Add them up. It's 26. 2 and 6 is 8 of the infinite. And now we're going to do Hare Krishna, part 26 / Hey Jack Kerouac. Jack from Jacob of the Torah, Taurus, with the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12, and then Zeus, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Ammon, with the 12 apostles, which has that silent T in there, post-Els, the positions, the posts of the sun on the ecliptic, the 12 houses of the zodiac, with their deacons. I'm gonna open this at random after reading a little bit of the Bhagavad Gita of Hare Krishna. We're in chapter 15, the mystical father of all beings. Chapter 15, verse 21, the character of him who is beyond the three modes. Arjuna said, by what mark is he, O Lord, who has risen above the three modes characterized? What is his way of life? How does he get beyond the three modes? The Blessed Lord said, He, O Pandava, or Arjuna, who does not abhor illumination, activity, and delusion when they arise, nor longs for them when they cease. He is seated. He who is seated like one unconcerned, unperturbed by the modes, who stands apart without wavering. Knowing that it is only the modes that act. He who regards pain and pleasure alike, who dwells in his own self, who looks upon a clod, a stone, a piece of gold, as of equal worth, who remains the same amidst the pleasant and the unpleasant things, who is firm of mind, who regards both blame and praise as one, he who is the same in honor and dishonor, and the same to friends and foes, and who has given up all initiative of action, he is said to have risen above the modes. He who serves me with unfailing devotion of love rises above the three modes. He too is fit for becoming Brahman.
Welcome back. You're listening to WHRB Cambridge 95.3. Again, my name is Taylor, and I'll be here with you.
For I am the abode of Brahman. I am the abode of Brahman. Brahman. The immortal and the imperishable, of eternal law and of absolute bliss. This is the 14th chapter. That was the 14th, not 15th, sorry. 14th chapter entitled The Yoga of the Differentiation of the Three Modes. And chapter 15 is entitled The Tree of Life, the Cosmic Tree. The Blessed Lord said, they speak of the imperishable Asvatam, peepal tree, as having its root above and branches below. As above, so below. Its leaves are the Vedas, and he who knows this is the knower of the Vedas. Footnote 1. The world is a living organism united with the Supreme. According to ancient belief, the Vedic sacrificial cult is said to sustain the world, and so the hymns are said to be the leaves which keep the tree with its trunk and branches alive. Its branches extend below and above, nourished by the modes, with sense objects for its twigs, and below in the world of men stretch forth the roots resulting in actions. Its real form is not thus perceived here, nor its end, nor beginning, nor its foundation. Having cut off this firm-rooted asvatam, peepal tree, P-E-E-P-A-L. Sounds a lot like people. Peepal tree. With the strong sword of non-attachment. Having cut off this firm-rooted asvatam, peepal tree, with the strong sword of non-attachment. Then that path must be sought from which those who have reached it never return, saying, quote, I seek refuge only in the primal person from whom has come forth this ancient current of the world, this cosmic process. Those who are freed from pride and delusion, who have conquered the evil of attachment, who all desires stilled, are ever devoted to the Supreme Spirit, who are liberated from the dualities of pleasure and pain, and are undiluted, go to that eternal state. 6. Manifested life is only a part. Not the whole. Manifested life is only a part. The sun does not illuminate that, nor the moon, nor the fire. That is my supreme abode from which those who reach it never return. The Lord as the life of the universe. Verse 7. A fragment or fraction of my own self, having become a living soul, eternal in the world of life, draws to itself the senses of which the mind is the sixth, that rest in nature. When the Lord takes up a body and when he leaves it, he takes these, the senses and mind, and goes even as the wind carries perfumes from their places. He enjoys the objects of the senses, using the ear, the eye, the touch sense, the taste sense, and the nose, as also the mind, the sixth sense. When he departs or stays or experiences in contact with the modes, the deluded do not see the indwelling soul, but they who have the eye of wisdom, or whose eye is wisdom, see. We'll stop there at the end of verse 10. Chapter 15, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tree of Life. Now, hey Jack Kerouac time. Let's Atop and Underwood. This is early Kerouac writings, indispensable for the reader who wants to chart the development of one of our most talented writers. Early stories and other writings edited by Paul Marion. Let's see where the divine takes us here. The father of my father. Page 150. In her Lowell-based study, Franco-American folk traditions and popular culture in a former mill town, Bridget Lane discusses the languagey language used by the Kerouacs and others in Lowell and New England. Franco-American French is indeed a language of its own, an incredibly direct, concrete, and flexible language, whose linguistic features are frequently discussed with passion by the more educated Franco-Americans. Derived from joual, French-Canadian French, joual. It is Joual. It is definitely a dialect of its own. Lane explains that the regional French features extreme modernisms acquired through the borrowing and reshaping of American linguistic forms and ancient terms. In naming the language of his household, Kerouac used the terms Canadian French, New England, French-Canadian, patois, and even Canuckian, child patois, probably medieval, from the note to his poem on waking from the dream of Robert Fournier. This is a very important story because it deals with a man who was also named Jack Kerouac and who was the father of my father. This strong personage died when my father was 15 years old and in a very tragic manner. He died melodramatically, indicating perhaps that someday a poet would stem from his blood. And I'll be damned if it didn't happen that way. This is a very important story. I must treat it carefully, reverently, and tragically. Honest Jack, they called him in his hometown, which was a small New Hampshire city on the banks of the Merrimack River. Honest Jack, the best carpenter in town and the father of 8 children. Honest Jack, who, like the poet of his posterity, stood about 5 feet 10 inches tall and was built like an oak, and whose footsteps my father can still hear coming down the streets of Nashua, echoing through the lanes of sleeping houses, a firm, powerful step of a firm, powerful man. Honest Jack was a staunch Catholic, and one night a whore accosted him as he was crossing the railroad tracks. "Ma putain," he roared in French, "go home and go to your father and allow him to spank you, you whore. You should be ashamed of yourself. Go home." He roared, and the whore ran home. Honest Jack was a Breton. He had the blue eyes and black hair which predominates these hardy channel fishermen. Brittany on the northwestern coast of France, the hardy Celts of France, blue eyes and black hair, the sea, women standing on the shore waving at departing ships like riders to the sea, the Celts of the sea. Honest Jack stemmed from this people. Somewhere in his blood was the aristocratic blood of a woman who had married one of his seaman ancestors, and then the Revolution and the flight to Canada, the land grant in Quebec, and the loss of it through English scheming, and again the Kerouacs are of the land and still are today. Honest Jack, the carpenter in Nashua, New Hampshire in 1895. This amazes me, no end. Honest Jack was fearless. He dared God to strike him with a thunderbolt. Whenever there was a thunderstorm, he would stand on his large porch of his home and roar at the heavens, waving his bony fist at the lashing tempest. "Fraps, frappus," he would cry. "Vargas, Vargas, si tu est pour Vargas." He would use this enormous language against the storm. It meant this: strike me, blast me, if you will, blast me. The language called Canadian French is the strongest in the world when it comes to words of power, such as blast and strike and others. It is too bad that one cannot study it in college, for it is one of the most languagey languages in the world. It is unwritten. It is the language of the tongue, and not of the pen. It grew from the lives of French people come to America. It is a terrific, a huge language. At other times, honest and fearless Jack would take an oil lamp and juggle it, all the time daring God to blow him up right then and there. His wife, my father's dear mother, who was named Clementine, used to stand by the fear in her heart, watching her magnificent husband stand by with fear in her heart, watching her magnificent husband do the strong things that he did, wondering why he wasn't weak like other men, knowing that only real men are considered mentally amiss. My father's father was a magnificent man. One day he suddenly grew tired of life. He began to drink each night, rising early in the morning to go to his work, always on time, but every night he would get drunk again and come back home early in the morning muttering. On Sundays he would not drink, but would stalk around the kitchen humming church hymns. After a year of this, my son, my father's brother, denounced him for his actions, and he died that night. My father's brother is brooding over it today. It was tragic.